Good morning to you all, friends. Mariette and I did that car journey from Johannesburg to Hermanus. Besides the wide open spaces and the glorious colours of the landscape, there were a couple of wow moments. And one of them was crossing the Orange River. Now, we think, well, what's so big deal about that? Well, the landscape is very dry, you will understand. It's not the rainy season. Beautiful in its aridity. Is there such a word? I think there is. Beautiful in its dryness. And yet we go over this bridge and there is the mighty Orange River, flowing quite handsomely, I might add. Its source high in the Drakensberg Mountains, on the Lesotho side of that great mountain range, and winding its way through the South African Karoo until it reaches the sea in Oranje, some 2,200 kilometers later. I think that's the stat. But it was just so lovely to look at this river in this dry countryside. And it reminded me of the book of Ezekiel, the river of life in the book of Ezekiel. Do you remember that story? Ezekiel is transported in his mind to Jerusalem, and Jerusalem is in the midst of very, very dry countryside. And he looks and he sees a river, a stream, coming from the altar of the temple. And the stream comes down the hillside and it gathers momentum, and the stream then becomes a river, and the river begins to flow and it gets deeper and deeper. And Ezekiel says that this river began to flow through this dry countryside where there was nothing, but wherever the river flowed there was life on the banks. Wherever there was simply death and dryness, there was a transformation. Fish suddenly appeared, and you saw fishermen. Now it's an unusual picture for a dry part of the world, but the point of that story is that river represents the living presence of God. Jesus takes up this picture of the river, and he says, if any man, any woman is thirsty, let them come to me and drink, and from their inmost being shall flow rivers of living water. A mighty river, like the Orange River, flowing through the dry Karoo. So the river of God comes through our lives. We hunger, we thirst. Jesus, our manna be, ye living waters burst out of the rock for me. For still the desert lies my thirsting soul before, O living waters rise. And I forget the last words of that hymn. But it's a lovely picture of the presence of the Holy Spirit in very dry surroundings, which can so often be a picture of you and me in times that are really, really tough. And so perhaps a prayer for us as we think of the Orange River flowing through the Karoo, the river of life, Ezekiel, Jesus' words, come to me and drink, is let your living water flow over my soul. Let your Holy Spirit come and take control. May you know that truth and that reality, my friends. God be with you.